Welcome back to PKs Anonymous, the community of pastors' kids that's all purpose and no performance. I'm excited for our episode today, and I'm going to introduce you all to who we are talking to. As a matter of fact, I'm going to let them introduce themselves, actually. So, as we do every single time, we give everybody an opportunity to just introduce themselves, how they want to be known by our audience. So, you can pick anything in the world that you want to be known as, and then when people go back and they say how much they loved hearing your story, they're going to say they loved hearing this person's story. All right, so how do you want to be known as today? Like how are we going to refer to you?
I'm gonna go with the name Eve.
Eve. Okay, I like it. So today, everybody, we're talking to Eve. All right, now Eve, we're going to ask you a few questions and then we're going to dive into our conversation today.
Okay.
Okay. All right, what region are you from?
Well, I was born here,
Where's here?
West Covina,
Okay.
California.
California. All
Yeah,
right. So you're born in California. Who pastored, your mother, father, or both?
both.
Both.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know. All right. And then how old were you when you became a PK?
I want to say I was around 15 when my dad became a pastor,
Okay.
and then around 17, 18 when my mom became a pastor.
Okay. All right. This is going to be interesting. All right. So, um, talk to me about this experience because I've had a few people come onto the show and they had an experience of their parents before they were pastors and then they had an
hmm
experience of their parents after. So you became a PK at 15 years old.
Yes.
Okay, so talk to me about that experience. How did you become a PK? What was happening in your dad's life where he was just like, "Yeah, we're gonna go pastor"? What happened?
My dad did end up becoming a pastor with his brother.
Okay.
That was the intention for them to do it together.
Okay.
So that did happen around I was 15, but beforehand, it was a little rocky, you
Okay.
know.
When you say it was a little rocky, the transition into him pastoring was rocky?
Um, Not the transition itself, but the way I saw it, because I knew
Okay.
him as someone else.
Yeah.
And seeing him trying to become a pastor and try to be a better person
Mm-hmm.
kind of confused me because I didn't know God at the time.
Mm.
So, from a perspective, I guess I would kind of judge him.
Mm.
So, yeah.
Okay. So let's go all the way back. All right. How did you know your father before him trying to go into this route of being a pastor? What was that like?
So, as a father growing up, he was very affectionate.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of stopped around my teenage years.
Okay.
It was mainly around the time that I became depressed, and
Mm-hmm.
it caused a lot of conflict between us.
Mm-hmm.
And what mainly made me see him the way that I did was because of the relationship that he had with my mom.
Okay.
He was a very narcissistic, abusive person.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that I saw him transition from the person that he was, the way he was towards my mom, to trying to be a pastor, I it confused me a lot,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially
No,
because
I
I
get
was so
that.
young.
Yeah. So, and how much of your life going into that age of 15 had you experienced a father who was affectionate yet kind of narcissistic and abusive towards your mother? Like, was that pretty much as long as you could remember, or do you remember a particular time when that was the case?
So he's always been like that towards my mother.
Okay.
From me being a baby until they got divorced, because I did get divorced until I was 4 or 5 years old.
Okay.
But I want to say that we started getting into conflict around 14,
Okay.
high school.
Okay.
I started rebelling and we started having issues, and I got depressed, and then he didn't understand it and he didn't think that it was real, and yeah.
Yeah. So okay, so this is interesting. So y'all, you you experienced a rebellion before he even became a pastor. Like this,
Yeah.
because I know for a lot of people, their story is like, my parents are pastors or they're in full-time ministry, and that's just not for me. I don't want to be part of that, so I'm gonna go do my own thing. That wasn't the impetus for you. That you were just doing your own thing.
Um, Not exactly. Maybe
Okay.
I wasn't getting that spiritual guidance from him, but I was from my mom. So
Ah,
I was getting
okay.
that from my mom's side, yes.
So talk to me about that. Your parents got divorced at 4?
Yes.
All right, and you have how many siblings?
3.
3 siblings. So it's 4 of you total.
Oh wait, no, I have 2 siblings. Sorry,
2 siblings,
it's
so it's
3 total.
three,
It's 3
three
total.
total.
Yeah.
And where do you fall?
I am the youngest.
You're the youngest. All right, so you're the youngest of 3, all from the same mom and dad.
Yes.
And then your parents got divorced when you were 4.
Hmm.
Okay, and from that time on, um, your mom is like your spiritual mentor, or like what's happening
Oh
in that
yeah.
space?
So since I was a baby, my mom, well, first my mom, she gave her life to Christ when she was 19.
Okay.
And ever since then, she's been on fire for the Lord.
Okay.
And she always made sure to implement those values into our family.
Hmm.
And so I could say that I grew up. I grew up being a Christian because I went to church my entire life. I
Okay.
was always in church. But I think being in church, growing up in church, it became familiar at a point.
Hmm.
And I think when I grew up, it just became the idea of church just being church,
Yeah.
not God.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, okay, that's great. That's a good starting point for understanding your experience with church. But talk to me about your experience with now your mom and dad being like heavily involved in church. So your dad and brother say they're going to start a church. Okay. Now, were they part of a denomination and they just like, we're going to go plant one, or they were just like, hey, bro, let's start a church? Like,
I
what was going
think
on?
I don't really know much of that backstory,
Okay.
but I think it started off as let's start a church, you know?
Okay. Okay. And you're 15 at the time. Relationship with your father at the time
It
is,
was kind of rocky.
yeah.
Not the best, but not the worst.
Okay. Not the best, but not the worst. At this point, your parents have been divorced for most of your life.
Yes.
And what was that dynamic between the two of them like for you? Was it like, week and weekends? Was it?
So I had my dad, I think it was every other weekend.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the rest of the week I'd be with my mom.
Okay. Got you. And Sundays, you're going to church with mom.
Yes.
Okay.
Hmm.
Now, what kind of church did your mom go to?
Christian church, Spanish.
Okay. So
Yeah.
just a regular Protestant church.
Yeah.
Do you know if it was connected to any denomination or not?
I'm not sure,
You're
no.
not sure? Okay, no worries. All right, so this is good context for us as we're leaping into this. So there's one way that you're experiencing both of your parents, and then all of a sudden, dad's a pastor.
Hmm. Yeah.
So you're trying to reconcile. It sounds the difference between how you experienced him and then all of a sudden how he's showing up.
Yeah.
Did the way that he interact with you change after he became a pastor?
No.
No. Okay. So talk to me about that. Like, did you see him any differently? Did you see how he was behaving any differently? Like, because it sounds like some sort of transformation took place, or maybe it didn't. I don't know. You got to tell me.
So I want to say that it was it was a transition.
Hmm.
I'm not sure if something big in his life happened that he wanted to become a pastor, but I think it took some time for me to see change.
Okay.
It was a slow transformation, I guess I
Yeah.
could say. Because sometimes when we would bump heads, it's not how my mom would react towards me or how my mom would try to talk to me. Like the fruits showed between the two.
Yeah. So so it sounds like what you're saying is you would experience more gentleness, patience, and stuff with mom than with dad.
Yes. My father was always very impatient, and he was always like an angry person, I guess you could say. So trying to talk to him about anything sometimes was rather hard. And I would still notice that even after he became a pastor, and it took him a long time to try to at least get better from, those ways.
Yeah.
So that's also what confused me because he was a pastor, but I didn't really see like any change
Yeah.
during that time.
Yeah. So you said you judged him for it.
Yes, I did.
What, like, when you say you judged him, what do you mean when you say that? Because I have a certain thing that I think when I hear judgment from like a church perspective or like a
Yeah.
theological perspective. But when you say you're judging him, like what's happening for you when you're looking at your dad pastoring but not necessarily seeing a different guy at home?
I kind of looked at it as like, who is he trying to be a pastor if this is the way that he's acting or continuing to act?
Yeah. At that time, were you looking back at that time now, would you say that you had faith in Christianity and in church?
I think, like how I mentioned earlier, church was just church to me. Like, I grew up in the church, so it was so familiar that I didn't think God was actually God. Like, God was capable of everything that he is capable of.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, I would say I hardly had any faith. And then during that time as well, I was also going through so many things emotionally, mentally, relationship wise, that it was almost hard to have faith.
Yeah. Yeah. Did dad becoming a pastor make it harder?
It made it confusing, yes. Confusing, well, and just in the aspect of, both my parents, they gave their life to God, they're on their walk, they're becoming pastors, and I'm still, like, I had this idea in my head, if both of my parents are pastors, why am I going through everything that I'm going through? Like, that's what I thought as a kid.
Yeah.
And also, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought.
That's okay.
um,
I would love to explore that though.
no, yeah, continue.
Yeah. So, what's happening that you're looking at and saying, if my parents are pastors, this shouldn't be?
I mean, I think it was just hard for me to understand the concept of church and God during the time. So, again, in my head, I just thought my parents, since they claim that God is this and God is that, and they're both pastors, they're both supposedly praying over me, why isn't my life getting any better?
And what were you hoping would get better? Like talk to us about what's happening at that time.
So during that time, I was going through a lot of things. It was mainly around the age of 16.
Okay.
Not recently, I I started having symptoms of depression around 13 years old. And I want to say that stretched out until the age of 19, but around 16, I started developing panic attacks, and I was in an abusive relationship at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just dealing with so many emotions, and I couldn't understand why I was going through all of this, especially since, I had two parents that were praying over me, and
Mm-hmm.
that just made me think if God really loved me or if He was really there, He'd be answering my parents' prayers for
Mm-hmm.
me to stop going through stuff like this.
Yeah, to stop being depressed and
Yeah.
to stop having panic attacks, all that kind of stuff. So all that stuff is persisting while you have two parents who are pastors
Yes.
who both are saying they're praying for all of this stuff to stop.
Yeah.
That seems like that might have been more of a weight on your faith than even the whole parents who are pastoring thing.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are you with that now? Like, are you like, how do you think about that now?
From a past perspective, or
I mean, even now,
like
like
where I'm at with my faith right now.
comparative to, so I'm hearing a particular tension between what you were growing up hearing God was capable of doing, and then what you actually saw God doing for you or not, right?
Yeah.
So that tension is hard to manage when you're saying, yo, I got two parents, they're both pastoring, they both say they're praying for me. I've heard that God is capable of doing all these things, and yet and still I'm still going through this, right? That's a tough tension to manage. So I guess the question for you is, where are you at with that tension now?
I think, well, regarding my previous perspective on it was obviously very bad. I
Mm-hmm.
know that I shouldn't have probably been thinking that way, especially since growth, faith, your relationship with God, it's all just depending on you, not your other people's prayers, because other people's prayers can only do so much.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that previous perspective when I was younger, not only did it keep me from wanting to seek God,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know, it held me back from it.
Yeah.
And now it's completely different, like
Okay.
so different. It's after giving my life to God, or even being the slightest open to it,
Mm-hmm.
it changed my life like a
Okay.
360.
How?
Okay, so, so that's kind of going into a little bit of my testimony.
Yeah, go for it.
um, so regarding everything that I was feeling during that time, it mainly got really bad around 18.
Okay.
I was 18. I think that was my rock bottom.
Mm.
So I was in an abusive relationship, extremely toxic, that took a really big mental toll. But on top of that, I was also dealing with depression, anxiety, panic attacks, and it got to a point where I just couldn't take it anymore.
Mm.
So I tried to take my life twice,
Mm.
and no, three times actually. And then I ended up in two mental hospitals I was 17 and 18 around
Mm-hmm.
that time, where they admitted me into the mental hospitals.
Mm.
So it kind of reached the point where I just couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah.
I obviously I had those failed attempts, and I was drowning myself in drugs and trying to go to the person that I was currently with to help me, but he only
Yeah.
ever made it worse. And my mom, my mom was always there for me.
Mm-hmm.
I I have so much love and respect for her because she was even though I was going through all of that, I was acting out. I was mean to her. I wasn't, I don't want to say I wasn't a good person, but I was acting out a lot.
Yeah.
And my mom didn't deserve the treatment that I was giving her. But even throughout all of that, she was always there for me. She was always trying to lift me up, to give me love, to remind me that I was there. But she was always also praying for me.
Yeah.
And I was always denying or trying to push it off when she would talk to me about God, because she would always tell me that God is like the only thing that would be able to fill that hole in my heart to fix what's wrong with me. And I never wanted to listen to it. I was very ignorant. And when I hit rock bottom, was going to my dad's church to support him, but it was nothing other than that. I wasn't going because I believed in God, because I wanted a relationship with God. I really didn't understand any of that concept back then. So one service, I was at his church, and there was this guy speaking that he let speak. I think he was praying. But he was saying that God knows your pain. God knows what you want. He wants to heal you. And for some reason, those words were sticking out to me. And he said, if you just pray, you knock on the door, he will answer if you open up your heart. So for some reason, I decided to pray.
Okay.
And mind you, I was high during the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why those words are sticking out. You're more sensitive.
Yeah, because during that time as well, I was high every day, every single day.
Wow.
I was using weed as a coping mechanism because I just didn't want to feel all of the stuff that I was constantly going through.
Yeah.
So I started praying, and mind you, there was no faith behind this prayer at all. I was almost trying to test God or something, like, if you're real, you know what I need. Like, you know what I want. If you are real, show me.
Yeah.
And this lady, she comes up to me and she starts praying for me. And then she starts repeating so many situations that I've been in that she couldn't have possibly known of, because I didn't even know her. I didn't know her at all.
This is all in the same service?
Yes.
Okay.
So she starts praying for me, and then she starts saying that God loves me and that he's been waiting for me and that he was there when I went through this and when I went through that. And I felt the Holy Spirit. It was so surreal for me in that moment, because the way I felt when I encountered the Holy Spirit, it's like that was the feeling that I was searching for all of these years.
Yeah.
It felt so peaceful. It felt like God was giving my heart a hug.
Yeah.
And I started crying, and it was such a supernatural experience. So after that, I started to believe in God.
Okay.
But I didn't really understand it. And I also didn't tell my parents about this.
Okay.
Because I couldn't really process it. But at the same time, I didn't want to tell them, even though they're both pastors.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but...
Like, do you know why you might not have wanted to tell them?
It's also because I've always been the type of person to keep things to myself. I've never been that open with my parents. Now I am. But back then, it was so hard for me to share things with them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so after that experience, I started believing in God, but I was still smoking. I still felt a little, like, I still felt sad, but I knew from that experience that God was real. So I think it was like about a week or two later that my mom, at her church, she invited me to go on this youth retreat that they were having at the mountains.
Okay.
And I didn't want to go. I really didn't want to go, but for some reason I said yes.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay. I'm not sure why I said yes, because I don't really like outings like that.
Yeah.
I'm a very antisocial person.
Mm-hmm.
So I for some reason agreed to it. I ended up going, and again, I was high. I took my pen with me.
Okay.
So they had a couple services, and they were having altar calls at the first service.
Mm.
And for some reason, I felt this very huge tug on my heart to go, and I didn't know why. Again, because during that time, I didn't understand what any of that meant. I didn't know that was God or the Holy Spirit trying to give me that encouragement to go up there.
Yeah.
And again, since I'm a very shy person, I have social anxiety, I have anxiety, I just didn't want to go because I didn't want to be center of attention, because there was only like a couple people up there, and I just got really scared and I didn't go. But there was a second service, and they were doing altar calls again.
Mm.
So then at that altar call, I did end up going. I didn't want to go, but I went. I don't know why, but I just felt like I had to, so I went.
Mm-hmm.
So I went, I got down on my knees, had no idea what I was doing. I started praying, and then one of the youth pastors came up to me and they started praying for me.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, it was a whole deliverance session.
Mm.
That was like if I thought experiencing God at my dad's church was something, this was completely
Something
different.
else.
Like, I cried like I never had before.
Mm.
He was telling me that God has been waiting for this day and that he's been wanting me home. And he told me so many things about everything that I was also going through, and
Yeah.
just so many things that I needed to hear. And I was crying. I cried so much.
Mm.
It was so beautiful. And then I didn't know during that time because I was down on the floor with my eyes closed,
Mm-hmm.
but there was like 3 different people also praying for me.
Mm.
And when everything was over, I want to say it didn't hit me until the next day, but I felt the biggest weight
Mm.
off of my shoulder. I I stopped smoking that day.
Mm.
I stopped having symptoms of depression that day,
Mm.
and I hadn't had a panic attack since that day.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I gained 50 pounds that same year because I was 80 pounds. They
What?
were almost going to hospitalize me because of how skinny I was,
Yeah.
because the anxiety and the depression,
Mm-hmm.
it made me never want to eat. Because
Mm.
after having a panic attack, I felt like my body would just go numb, and
Mm.
it would make me lose my appetite. So I lost a lot of weight,
Yeah.
and the doctor said that I wouldn't be able to gain weight until my depression is cured.
Mm-hmm.
So that same year, this was in 2021, I think.
Okay.
So I gained 50 pounds, I stopped smoking, and then God delivered me from depression and anxiety.
That is wild.
And I know for some people, it's a slow process, but
Yeah.
for me,
It just happened.
it was my life changed that same day.
That day. No, that's awesome. Y'all need to drop some fire in the chat for that. That's phenomenal. And you know something, that is a really wonderful testimony. And I'm sure your parents saw symptoms of that testimony after that day.
Oh yeah.
But being that you said you didn't like to tell them things, did you go back and just be like, yo, mom, like, you'll never guess what happened to me at this camp? Was she at the camp?
No.
She wasn't
No,
there.
she
Okay.
wasn't.
Like, did you tell them? Did you want to tell them? Like, how did they respond to this deliverance that took place?
So my mom, me telling them, I have small recollection because I have the worst memory ever. But I remember telling my mom and my dad, my mom, she was so happy.
Mm-hmm.
She was so happy.
Yeah.
Because yes, my dad, I don't want to say that he wasn't involved, but he wasn't living it because he didn't live with me.
Okay.
My mom, she went through so much.
Yeah.
Having to deal with me because when I would have panic attacks, I would be screaming in my room. I would throw things around. I would. In a couple occasions, she had to see me like bang my head against the wall. Like she had to walk into me screaming, telling her to get out, yelling at her. And she would always hear me crying. But she would always be praying for me.
Yeah.
So for me to come and tell her that her prayer was answered,
Yeah.
she was so happy.
Yeah, I can only imagine that. And at the time, you were still going to your dad's church?
Yes.
Okay.
And I want to say that was maybe the only church that I was going to.
Okay.
Because I kind of, around that time, maybe 17, 18, I stopped going to church.
Okay.
So I wasn't going to church at all. And the only reason I was going to my dad's church was because I wanted to support him.
Yeah.
Because it's like I would support him with my presence, but I'd be kind of judging him in the background.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
Because that's still my dad, you know?
Yeah.
That's still my dad, but I wouldn't want him to hear my opinions about it. I would never tell him anything, but I thought it a lot.
It was you were thinking it, you were internalizing that perception. Okay, so I'm kind of shifting gears a little bit, but
Okay.
not much. You're going to your dad's church to support him.
Yes.
Not because you really want to be there.
Yeah.
You didn't want to go to your mom's church to support her? Because backing up, just so we're all on the same page, your dad starts a church when you're 16.
Mm-hmm.
And then how many years later does your mom start a church?
A couple. Well, she doesn't start a church. She became a pastor at the church she was already going to.
Gotcha.
Because the church was growing a lot, and they needed another pastor.
Gotcha.
So that's how she became a pastor, a part of the church.
At a church that she was already at.
Yes.
Okay. Great. That's actually great context. So, is that why you thought your dad needed the support and not your mom?
Yes, because my dad's church was very small. It still is very small. And my mom, she's been on her walk my entire life. And I felt like my dad needed a little bit more support from me just because I saw him go from being a bad person to trying not to be a bad person. So that's why I thought that I need to support him.
Yeah. Yeah. So you see him trying. Yeah. So you're like, hey, we got to support the effort here.
Yeah.
No, I get it. Okay. I'm going to ask a couple of other questions, but we do a couple of segments every now and then in the episode. One of them that we usually do toward the beginning of the conversation is called One Word. So this is where you get to summarize your PK experience into one word. So if you had to describe your experience as a PK in one word, what would it be?
Confusing.
Confusing.
Yes.
Why? Why confusing?
Because I think seeing the way my dad was versus the way my mom was confusing to me. Because my mom she's always been a gentle, loving, caring, patient person, and my dad was the complete opposite. So them being both pastors or him trying to give his life to God, like that was very confusing to me.
Yeah.
Like if you supposedly gave your life to God and you're a pastor, why are you not like my mom?
If you are supposed to be a pastor and supposedly gave your life to God, why aren't you like the one that I, in my judgment, think actually did that, which is my mom?
Yeah.
Oof. And you've never said this out loud to your dad?
Oh, no, never.
Um, wow. That's a lot. So many things in my head right now, but it does speak to why it could be confusing because it's like, I mean, plus some of the things we talked about earlier with you knowing that you have two parenting pastors or two pastoring parents, and they're praying for certain things, and those things just aren't happening. You know what? The preacher and pastor in me just thought of an idea because your parents prayed for these things and they were not happening. But it wasn't until you prayed
Mm-hmm.
and gave yourself over to the idea that God could do this that it happened, and it happened instantly.
Yes.
So what took your parents years of praying for, God did in a moment when you decided.
Yes.
And that's a whole message. We won't do that today, but that's your message to to teach. But this is good. So you're having somewhat of a confusing experience. At this time, it sounds like there's a whole lot of reformation for you,
Mm-hmm.
in that getting healthy, being whole, and then giving yourself over to the idea of faith, which is really, really great. In that process, do you feel like you really discovered you, or were there still some attachments that might have kept you from like completely having your own identity,
Like away from my parents.
like away from your parents? Yeah.
I think after I gave my life to God, I started kind of finding who I was in God.
Mm-hmm.
But it was also a very slow transition
Mm-hmm.
because I could have gone to, excuse me, my mom or
Mm-hmm.
my dad for the guidance, but I for some reason didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of going through that walk on my own.
Mm-hmm.
So it was it was hard. I was definitely happier. I felt like I was finding myself again,
Mm-hmm.
but there was also a lot of things that I also fell into
Mm-hmm.
that also kind of interrupted with the way my walk should have gone.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I didn't want to smoke anymore, I started drinking.
Okay. So you're like, we're
Yeah.
not doing that, but
But I'm not sure why, but the first couple of months that I was doing it, because it's not like I was doing it on my own time. I never did it on my own time.
sure.
It was just when I was with my friends.
Mm-hmm.
They would want to drink, and I'd join, and I didn't feel convicted from it,
Mm-hmm.
which is why I kept on doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And then also with my boyfriend, that was also a very hard transition because I don't know, I didn't know how to tell him that we couldn't do certain things anymore because I found
Mm-hmm.
God
Mm-hmm.
and he didn't have God. So it was very hard for him to understand.
Mm-hmm.
So I think to this day, I'm still trying to figure out who I am,
Yeah.
but it was definitely easier after I found God because I feel like after finding God, it kind of drifted me away from the person that I thought I should have been to my parents.
Yeah. And who was that person? Like, who did you think you had to be to or for them?
Um, Back then, I never really, I never really took me having God in my life into a consideration from a perspective of like them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I was so lost and blinded.
Yeah.
Like there was just so many things that I didn't take into consideration back then. So for some reason, when I thought who I need to be for them. I just thought someone that needs to be mentally stable, someone that needs to maybe go to school, maybe try to be normal. Because during that time, I just thought I wasn't normal because of how unmentally, or yeah, how mentally unstable I was. So during that time, I kind of just thought that I need to be healthy. I need to be mentally stable. I need to maybe go to school. I need to do something with my life. But for some reason, God wasn't in like that picture I had pictured back then.
Sure.
So
Did you feel like the conversion moment for you, right? This like all of a sudden moment for you. God wasn't like, you hadn't necessarily considered your parents in that before you had the moment. Did that become a consideration after, because they were pastors, and you were like, now that I've got God, I've kind of have to be this person?
I think last year is mainly when I felt that. I think like within that conversion, I wasn't really thinking about what they wanted, because not that I was inconsiderate, but I just simply didn't care about what they wanted, or at least for me.
Yeah.
Now I care. Now my relationship with both of my parents is very different, and now I would like to be able to become that person. I think that's also what I'm struggling with.
Yeah.
I think I'm dealing with that now a lot more than I was back then, about wanting to become someone that I should be, or someone that they think I should be.
Yeah. Where does that come from?
I have no idea.
Because it's like that wasn't part of your framework before.
I think it's because God softened my heart towards them, because I was very ignorant to them back then. I wasn't very loving. I wasn't very caring. I was a teenager. So I think now that I've matured, I respect them so much more. I have a better relationship with them. I talk to them. Not that I didn't love them back then, but I definitely feel that I transitioned out of that ignorant phase, and now I just respect them so much more. And it makes me want to become that person.
But what person, though? I think that's the part where it's like, because you could have respect for people without becoming a version of yourself that pleases or appeases them, you know?
I think in my head, it's mainly, well, this is something that we both want. I just want to be a woman of God. Like a woman of God that doesn't have a bumpy road, a bumpy walk. I mean, I know everyone has a
You're
bumpy,
gonna hit them bumps.
I know everyone has a bumpy walk,
Yeah.
but I've had some really big bumps.
Yeah.
Like really big bumps. And I don't know, I want to be someone that they could be proud of, maybe in regards of being someone at either at church or just in life in general, having a good career, being able to, I don't know, maybe get married, have a family, have stable income, being at church with my family. Like, that's what I think they would want for me.
Sure.
But that's also what I want for myself.
So okay, so that's what I'm gonna ask you. Like, is that what they want for you? Is that what you want for you? But then the question that I was gonna ask you as you were saying that, you've just kind of led me into. At the end of the day, who would you want to please more? Like, who's the person that you most want to please in this life?
God.
God. Okay.
Yes.
All right. I was hoping you'd say that. So if that's the case, then what happens if and when what God wants is different from what they might want for you?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's like a priorities thing, right? So it's like, hey, there's something that happens, I believe, when we give ourselves over to God, where the desires of our heart begin to align with God's will, right? So in a sense, what God does is reorients our desire for what God wants for us,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there's that part to it. But then we have to reconcile that with what others want for us. So what happens when those two things are at odds, right? So for you, the question then becomes, where might those things be showing at odds, which presents the confusion, right? Where it's like a lack of certainty, maybe, in what I'm supposed to do, where I'm supposed to be, how I'm supposed to do it, because I'm constantly considering what they might want comparative to what I want and what God wants for me.
Yeah. I think recently I've been struggling with that a lot.
Yeah.
I think it would be kind of difficult because even though my dad is a pastor, he still wants to think that he knows what's right for me, or
Mm.
that he wants to lead me into a path where he thinks I should be at.
Yeah.
And sometimes it could be frustrating having to have those conversations with him
Yeah.
because I know that he wants the best for me, but one, I don't know. I could be open to it, but I don't know if that's what God wants for me.
Yeah.
So that causes a little bit of conflict
Yeah.
that I kind of try to push away.
I was about to say, you avoid it. Like,
Yeah.
are you actually having those
Yeah,
conversations?
cuz it's kind of hard. It's only hard when it comes to, I want to say recently the main one has just been work.
Mm.
Like what he wants me to do in life.
Okay.
Cuz
What is that? What does he want you to do?
he wants me to do real estate.
Okay. For some reason, he really wants you to do real estate.
Yes,
Okay.
and I'm not sure if that's what I want to do,
Hmm.
but he wants me to do it. But I don't know if that's what God wants me to do. Right now, as of right now, I'm very confused
Yeah.
about what I should be doing in life.
Yeah.
So the fact that he's pushing me, not pushing me, but kind of pushing
Hmm.
into a direction where I'm not sure I want to be at,
Hmm.
is causing more confusion.
Sure.
And I'm kind of pushing it to the side, kind of saying, like, okay, yeah, I'll do it,
Yeah.
because I don't want to have that conversation.
Yeah.
I don't like conflict. I don't like confrontation. I don't like having those serious conversations.
Yeah.
With him specifically, I'm not saying that I can't, but with people like him, it's kind of hard
Yeah.
because
So,
he
what is
just,
it about your father that makes it harder to have a conversation, like a harder conversation with him?
he just thinks that he's right all the time or that
Okay.
he knows what's best.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard to get my point across or to get my feelings across to people who think that they're always right.
Right. Right. No, I mean, that's the case with everybody. Like, nobody, if anybody has figured out how to have a significant conversation with someone who always thinks that they're right, please let us know, because that's the case for everybody. I guess my question to you would be, so this is like me putting my coach hat on for a second. My question to you would be, what would be necessary for you to explore all the possibilities for yourself without being encumbered by what he wants for you? Like what would you need to do? What environment would need to be set? What would need to happen in order for you to truly be able to explore the possibilities for yourself without his desire for your life weighing you down?
I think clear direction from God.
Okay. How would you get it? Think about environment, think about time, think about people, because environment is important.
Hmm.
You can't hear from God if his voice is too loud, if your dad's voice is too loud in your ear. You can't hear from God if you're consistently judging yourself for what you think you might want to do.
Hmm.
So think about all of that. Like what conditions would need to be in place for that to take place?
I think it would have to start with obedience.
Mm,
I would have definitely, because I struggle so much with opening my Bible. Sometimes I pray a lot more than I used to, but
mm-hmm,
sometimes I even struggle to pray.
mm-hmm,
And I think those are very two main factors of why sometimes I'm not able to hear God's voice,
mm-hmm.
even though sometimes I can. When He wants to speak to me, He will.
Sure.
But when I'm asking for direction in certain things, it's sometimes hard to hear from Him.
Yeah.
So I think something I've always lacked has been obedience.
Mm,
So I think being obedient
yeah.
and having structure and a routine in prayer and getting in my word.
Mm-hmm. What We're gonna dive in on this.
Okay.
I hear you when you talk about having structure and routine for prayer and all that kind of stuff. Life happens. We kind of have our modes and ebbs and flows of life. I get all of that, and you will experience that with prayer. You'll experience that with any. I mean, you can't be in a relationship with anybody for a significant amount of time and not experience ebbs and flows. Right. Here's my question to you though. Not what you think you should be obedient to just as a believer, right? Like reading your word and in prayer. I'm curious, what aren't you being obedient in life that you know or have a sense that you should do, but you're not doing because you have the sense that it would disappoint someone that you love and respect? And I already got one in my head based off something that you said earlier. So if you can't come up with nothing, I'm gonna ask you about it. But I'm gonna give you opportunity to let me know what you think might fit into this category. You said it starts with obedience, and I would contend you're probably right for yourself, right? What aren't you doing that you have a strong sense to do because you think that by doing it you would disappoint other people?
As of right now, I don't, not that I can think of anything,
Okay.
but there's a lot of things that I want to do, but I don't think it would disappoint other people.
Okay. Well, all right. So give me some of those things.
Um, mm, so stepping out of my comfort zone
Hmm.
and becoming more social.
Okay, that's a good one. You and I talked about that before, like
Yes.
with just personality and being okay with yourself and all that kind of stuff. No, that's good.
Hmm.
What else?
I think that's kind of the only thing I've kind of been dealing with right now.
Okay. Well, then
Because,
let me back up to something else that you said.
okay,
You talked about work.
yes.
Your dad really wants you to be in real estate.
Yes.
You don't want to be in real estate.
I'd be open to it, but I'm not sure if that's exactly who I want to be.
You don't want to do real estate.
I'd be willing to get my license, but I don't know if I'd go any further than that.
You don't want to be in real estate.
Yeah.
And I think that's okay. And it's okay to express and just get out to say, like, because remember my question to you is, what would need to happen in order for you to explore all the possibilities? In order for you to explore other possibilities, you need to let go of the possibility that someone else is pushing on you. So it's like, I need to be able to admit to myself and to others, I really just don't want to do that, right? Which you said before I even said it, right? So that's one. Then the other thing is, you mentioned your father's church and how your presence is as a support, not because you really want to be there.
I think that was my mentality when I was younger. I think right now it's changed a little bit. I am still there to support him, and I do want to be there
To support him.
But, you know, it's just his church. It's
I feel like you're trying to clean up your language to not say what you really want to say.
it's because, you know, it's rather small. It's Spanish. It's
Sure.
mainly elders. So, I don't know. I feel like I can't really connect with the people there. It's kind of hard for me. And also because I'm not the best at speaking Spanish. So I feel like that kind of also gets in the way of me trying to talk to people. So his words are so good. I'll give him that. His messages are amazing. But I just feel like I'd maybe be able to spiritually grow at another church. But I
was waiting for you to say that.
I don't think I would be able to leave.
Because?
I don't want to hurt him.
There it is. I was waiting for you to say it. It would hurt him.
Okay, yeah, I see what you're talking about now.
Yeah, it would hurt him. It would
Yeah.
disappoint him. He would be hurt that you're not there.
And then also considering that he's, you know, kind of sensitive and he wants to feel that support. From his perspective, he thinks that, you know, he would love to have his kids there to be able to support him rather than me serving at a church that already has hundreds of people. Like, they don't need help. He needs help.
So let me ask you this. Do your other siblings go?
My oldest doesn't, because my oldest is 33, 34. And then my middle brother, he plays the bass there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So it would hurt him to leave because his perspective is, why go to a church that has hundreds of volunteers or people that, you know, they're fine. They don't need you. I need you. What do you need?
I need structure. I need for my feet to be planted somewhere. It's a really hard conversation to have.
It is a hard conversation to have. I'm not saying that it's not.
And
I've had it multiple times. So I know it's a hard conversation to have. You mentioned something else that you needed, which was connection that you couldn't have. There's like a language barrier at your father's church for you to really have a true connection with some, and seemingly a generational one as well. So there are so many things that you need as part of your spiritual formation that currently your father's church does not serve. Yet you serve it with your presence because you have this sense that by doing so, you're supporting a man you respect, your father, right? The question then becomes, are you doing it at the benefit of another, but the detriment of yourself? Because if all of this stuff is connected, by the way, but if you want to be in an environment where you can explore what God has for you, hear clearly what God has for you with people who don't have ulterior motive for you that serves themselves, but really that serves you, which most of us as PKs deal with, especially if we're sitting within our parents' congregations. If you need that kind of environment, if the environment that your parents' church currently is does not serve that for you, then you need to figure out where you get that from. You see what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, you'll sit there for years not getting fed, not growing spiritually, not getting any closer to the sense of clarity and confidence that you should have in who God's created you to be and do. And over time, you know what happens? You're there to support him, but over time, you start to resent him. And the reason you start to resent him is because you weren't there for you were there for him. And being there for him kept you away from you. And that's the thing that I wish, like, if I could talk to all of y'all right now. Usually I don't do this. I let my guests like say something to y'all, but like if I could say anything to any of you all who are watching and listening to this, that is the one thing that if I could give anybody a gift, I would give you the gift of being able to look into the future and see how your inaction is going to play out. Because by not doing what you have a sense to do now, the long road says that there's something that's going to happen in you that makes the relationship that you're trying to preserve impossible. I'm a fifth generation PK. I've seen it happen over generation, over generation, over generation. When you do not serve the purpose for which God has placed you on this earth, but you're trying to serve the purpose of a parent, inevitably you end up losing the beauty of that relationship with that parent because you start to resent the parent for what they kept you away from, when in reality they kept you away from nothing because they can't keep you away from anything. The only thing that they can do is try to emotionally manipulate situations to keep you in spaces that they really want you in because they value your presence, right?
Yeah.
And that's what they do. And it's not that they're doing it maliciously, but we have to take ownership of ourselves as adults to say, no, this is what is right for me, and this is where I'm feeling called to, right? So it was all connected. And I was sitting here listening to you, and I'm like, this is all connected.
Yeah.
So if you were to take into consideration what I've just shared with you, and think about the next 2 years, okay, 24 months, all right? Let's dream for a second.
Okay.
Let's dream. In 24 months, if you took into consideration what we've just said and we help you to have some what we call tough talks or candid conversations, and you make the decisions that are kind of in your heart to make, and then you explore all the possibilities that are out there for Eve, okay? So what does Eve's life look like in 24 months with this freedom of exploration of herself?
Well, I'd like to be at a church
Mm-hmm.
in community I say that 24 months from now because right now I think it's just really hard for me to be in community because not that I dislike talking to people, but I'm just very shy.
Sure.
And it's hard for me to talk to people.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to build relationships like that.
Understood.
But I do hope and pray that God will maybe take that away from me.
Mm. I'm sensitive to that.
I know.
Because I don't, I want you to pray genuine prayers, but I don't like the idea of asking God to take away something that God gave you. Because some things are things we need deliverance from. Other things are just personalities and wirings that we have that we need to be able to work with. But I think the first part of what you said is actually the solution to the second part. When you talk about it being difficult to connect and difficult to be I'm the ones who know me the closest know I'm very antisocial. I don't do it. But being in the right environments create opportunities for people to connect with you that open you up to practice that muscle of connection. So is it hard? Yes. Is it difficult? Yes. Are you going to be wired to be different? Maybe, probably not. But if you're in the right environments, genuine connections can still take place.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't want you to try to pray away a personality or wiring that God gave you, because there's probably a purpose for that wiring that God's going to use to serve others. But if you're in the right environment, like you just mentioned, in 24 months, like what it would look like to be in a church and to be in a right environment where you have genuine community, it fosters those opportunities where you can build up that social muscle. And you may never be the most extroverted individual, but you can at least be in spaces and be okay. You see what I mean? Yeah. So I don't want you praying away your personality.
Okay.
Yeah. But this is a great start. In 24 months, you'd be in a church. You'd be in community. You would be building the social muscle.
Yes.
What would work look like for you in 24 months if you gave yourself the opportunity to explore?
As of right now, I have no idea. I've been thinking about that a lot. I've been asking God to guide me because I've been very confused about my career path.
Yeah.
So hopefully by that time, He has revealed it to me,
Yeah.
given me some type of guidance to be able to step into whatever He has planned for me.
Yeah.
But as of right now, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Because I tried doing something that I thought I wanted to do, and it just didn't go well.
Sure. And that's okay. That's what I mean by exploring.
Yeah.
We get a chance to try things. Here's something that I heard you say just now, and I'm going to connect it with something I've heard you say earlier. You have no idea. You've been thinking about it for a long time. I wonder, though, if the thing that you said a long time ago is actually the solution to getting closer to what that vocation or what that work might actually be for you. You used the word. You said obedience. I wonder if you were obedient to the prompting to be in a community that serves you as well as you serving it, if it opens you up to more possibilities that get you closer to seeing you the right way, and then activating you in the right spaces and places that could lend credence to what you might be here on earth to do, and then what you might want to do for work. You see what I mean? So it's like that obedient word, when you said it, I was just like, yep, that's probably it. But I wonder if she know what she's supposed to be obedient to. So like there are these promptings that we have, and it's like, man, I know it's going to be tough, but if you're waiting for God to give you instruction, God's like, just follow the last one I gave you. Like, you're still sitting there when I asked you to move. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like I feel like 24 months Most places I've been in my life, my adult life, when I've worked with different organizations, I've not been there longer than 24 months. Most places. Some I have, but most places I've not been there longer than 24 months. But the amount of shift and change that we're able to do within 24 months is astronomical. I mean, it's just
Mhm.
massive, right? So imagine what could happen in your life if you gave yourself permission to explore you apart from the pressure of a parent and the and their push that might be more vocational for them than it
Mhm.
is for you.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, you want me to do that? I don't want to do real estate. You really want me at this church, but if we're being honest, you really don't need me at this church. You just think you do. But the question then becomes whether or not you think you need me here and whether or not you're right. The question is, what do I need? And where is God sending me to get that need met?
Mhm.
Right? So all of that are things that adults have to do. Like we have to make those kinds of decisions and have those kinds of conversations. So this is what we call like candid conversations. Like, yeah, we have to have a honest talk, right? And the way that we do that, I took this model from John Maxwell, and a candid conversation has both care and candor. Okay, so care, we know what that's like. It's like, yo, I care for you. So everything that I say is not because I don't care for you. It's because I actually do care for you. And I care for what matters most, which for a daughter and a father is the relationship of a daughter and a father, not a pastor and a member, right? So I come with care, but I also come with candor, just honesty. This is what it is. It's wonderful. You serve a good purpose, a great purpose with these people. Just because I'm from this doesn't mean I'm for this. I might need to go someplace else to get those needs met for myself. And it's not a conversation. It's really just I'm letting you know.
Mhm.
But you let people know with both care and candor to say, hey, I do care for you. But I also want to be honest with you because I care for you
Yeah.
that the longer I sit here, the worse it is for me. And the more and the harder it becomes to look at you with the amount of respect and honor that I really want to have for you, not only as my father, but also as someone that has been called by God to serve a group of people.
Yeah.
I don't want to look at you in a different way. So I need to make a different decision, right? I've had to have that conversation with my father, I don't know how many times. I'm telling you, it is not an easy one. Does it hurt them? Yes. Are they disappointed? Yes. My dad had the hardest time talking to me after I moved away from St. Louis. So it's going to happen. But at the end of the day, it helps to preserve the relationship. Because even now, once they come around, right, they recognize that they love you and that they still have a daughter. The worst thing is to have a member and not a daughter,
Mhm.
especially a disgruntled member. Don't no pastor want a disgruntled member.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's. I think you used the right word, and you just have an opportunity, I think, to develop a different muscle that God might need you to develop in this season that's going to help you in the next one where you can actually have candid conversations, tough talks, and let people know the truth while still letting them know that you love them.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And so I'd be interested to see what happens over the next 24 months if you really commit to that.
Mhm.
Yeah. What do you think? Do you think that's something that you could try?
It sounds scary,
Mm-hmm.
but I would definitely be open to it.
Yeah.
I think I just have a bad habit of trying to avoid conversations like that.
Yeah.
And by avoiding, it just allows me to stay where I'm at.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I get it. I did a message called "I Have a Lot on My Mind," and I talked about Abram and Lot, and they're not siblings, but they're related. And God had something for Abram to do, but Lot went with him. That's how the Bible says it. Lot went with him, and they're arguing. Lot's people's arguing with Abram's people. Like they're not getting along, but they still stay together. And what's interesting is we see this about Abram's character. Like he's avoidant. He's conflict avoidant. Abram is conflict avoidant. When we see what happened with Abram, Sarah, and the slave woman Hagar, Abram was conflict avoidant. When we see what happens when he tries to give his wife over to Pharaoh, Abram was conflict avoidant. When we see what happens with Ishmael and Isaac, and Sarah wanting to kick them out of the camp, Abram was conflict avoidant. Abram is a conflict avoidant individual. But it got to a point with Lot where he just couldn't take it anymore. And he says to Lot, let's not do this anymore. We cannot continue to go this way. If you go to the left, I'll go to the right. If you go to the right, I'll go to the left. But this is where we part ways. Mm-hmm. Here's the danger of letting things get to that point. That's a point that by the time it's gotten there, it's going to be a lot harder to recover and redeem the pureness of that relationship. It's easier to do it early. So that way you don't get to a point where it's like, I can't take this anymore. We're done. You don't want to get to that point where you're just like, I'm done. Especially not with a parent. So it's easier to front load the harder conversation because you know it's going to pay off on the back end. I would much rather deal with a temporary discomfort than to have a permanent separation. Mm-hmm. So Abram would be a good story for you to take a look at. Or just listen to that message.
Okay.
I have a lot on my mind. But I'm gonna kind of wrap us up here. And then we'll give our parting ways. Okay. You know what? I was gonna do this this segment, but I don't think I want to do that one. Here are a couple questions I'll give you, and then we'll say bye to our audience, and we'll bid Eve goodbye, y'all. 2 questions. First one: what do you want to say to church members now that you couldn't say at 16, 17, while mom is pastoring at her church and dad is pastoring at his? What would you want to say to people that looked at you every time you showed up, and had whatever thoughts they had about you being a pastor's daughter? Because what would you want to say to church members now that you either couldn't or didn't say when you were younger?
That's a good question. Does it have to be like the members in general or specific members?
Oh, that's a good question. Either one.
Okay.
Go for it. And you ain't got to try to make it sound any kind of way. Just go for it. I can see your wheels turning.
That's kind of a hard question.
There's nothing that you would think to say. There was something because somebody popped up in your head that you wanted to talk to. You sound like you wanted to have a conversation with a specific member of a church or something. Did that happen?
Kind of.
Okay,
Just
so
nothing negative.
doesn't have to be. So what would you want to say that you didn't say or couldn't say?
That God could, and he did.
That if I was back home in our charismatic church, we would shout on that. Expound, say more. Is this in relation to like your healing and your testimony?
Yes.
Okay.
Because a lot of the members were aware of everything that I was going through.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it took a really big toll on my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the members were aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I say this in a good way too, because I know they were all rooting for our family.
Mm-hmm.
And looking back on it, my mom knew that God could.
Mm-hmm.
And he did.
Yeah. That's so good. That is so good. I'm not even gonna ask you the second one because we just gonna end on that. God could, and he did. I feel like I want to preach that one. That is good, Eve. That is so good. Well, thank you so much for coming on to the PKA show, the PKs Anonymous. This is a really great conversation. And it's one that I know many of you are going to connect with. So, hey, if you're listening to this, I want you to put in the comments, put in the chat, what about Eve's story and this conversation stood out to you the most? What really helped you? What really blessed you? And hey, make sure you are engaging in the community. Go into that Discord, have the conversations, connect with your friends, whoever they may be, and just talk about this episode and let them know what was happening in this episode or what stood out to you in this episode. Jump in those chats and have some great stimulating conversations. And remember, if you are a PK watching this, I want you to remember you're never alone and you never were. Y'all, we will see you again next week for another episode of PKs Anonymous. Take care.